Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, welcome everyone to Renovation Sportfish. Last episode we left off, it was the beginning of the year 2013. It was kind of cold out still here in New England. I wasn't able to install anything, just able to fit pieces. So in this episode, when we start off, it's still kind of cold and still not able to install anything. So I decided to do a little bit of demolition. Now my plan for this year was to remove the main bulkhead, which I call the main bulkhead. So I had to clear out everything that was around it, attached to it. So that's what this demo is all about, just clearing the way to do more demo on the bulkhead and replace it. So that's what we're going to start with, a little bit of demo. Stop right there. I had to remove some of the decking in the cockpit. Now this was teak decking that was held down with bronze ring shank nails. So you can't just unscrew them and pull them up like if you had screws there. They're nails, obviously. And with the ring shank on them, they really are held in really good. So the way I figured out how to remove them was to use a spot weld cutter. Now, I was pretty familiar with a spot weld cutter because I've done some body work as a hobby, and I've used it a lot. So what this does is it'll cut the head of the nail off because it was just about the same diameter as the nail head and the plug that was in covering it up, the wood plug. So it was good to just put a little center punch in there, try to get the center of the nails this thing would center. Now the spot weld cutter has a little tip on it to kind of center it. Wasn't always lucky with it, sometimes it slid off and I had a little issue, but for the most part it worked good. It got the nail heads off, and once the nail heads were off, I was able to just grab the board and pull it up. So what you're seeing once the boards are removed are just the shank of the nail. And those I just easily pried up there with a pair of pliers after the boards were up. So, okay, now we go back to the photos and see what I'm talking about here. So once this demo was done, it was finally warm enough to start installing something. So the first things I installed were the center and side windshield posts that I had previously fabricated in a previous episode. That was good to be able to get those in finally. So I installed those with epoxy and some screws and the biscuits, and yeah. So I got those in, and then I was able to keep continuing along the gunnel with the plywood decking. I got another big long chunk in there, probably a good 3.5, 4 foot piece on both the port and starboard side, both layers, top and first layer of 1/2 inch, second layer of 1/4 inch. And yeah, that was it. It was good to install some things finally. So I'll let the pictures kind of fill in the blanks. So before I can remove and replace one of the main bulkhead pieces, I wanted to remove and replace well, I'm going to call it the main cockpit deck beam. It was right up against the plywood bulkhead. It was about a 4-inch deep piece of mahogany that they had, just one. The next one out from that was probably about 12 inches away. I didn't want to put them that far apart because I felt like they covered too much of the front of the engine. Couldn't really get to the engine too well in the front, all the pumps and belts and all that. It was difficult. So I wanted to bring those two pieces together. They also used, and I have one here, these metal galvanized pipes with flanges screwed to the ends. And I'll back up maybe you can see the whole thing, I don't know. But if the beam was here and the floor was here, they put these in the center of the boat, 2 of them, to help support the second beam. And I didn't really want these in the way either, because they were right in the way of getting the things in the front of the engine. So I was going to try to eliminate these. So what I did was I made a double beam. I took 2 pieces of mahogany, put them about 6 inches apart probably, and I interconnected them with little pieces all the way. So it was really essentially one big beam screwed directly to the bulkhead in the end. So then I eliminated having to use these up in front because they had plenty of strength to hold up everything. And it also gave a little more room for access to the front of the engine. So yeah, that's what you're seeing here, me fabricating and installing this first main cockpit deck. So now it was time to muster up a bit of courage. The next step was to actually remove the port side upper main bulkhead piece, which is basically the entire wall on the port side of the boat. It holds up the ceiling, it holds up the windows, and yeah, who knows what else it holds up. But anyways, after putting in some additional bracing of 2x4s and different things inside the head that was on the other side of this this bulkhead. It was time to cut it. So as you've noticed, I didn't take a lot of pictures of this momentous occasion. I was too worried about the boat collapsing at this point. So the main focus was really to get another piece of plywood up there for the replacement bulkhead. Now I used Doug Fir marine grade plywood, 3/4 inch. The original was mahogany. I'm not sure if it was marine grade. But on this particular bulkhead, I wasn't really concerned about having a mahogany face on the inside because it was in the head, and I had other plans of doing fiberglass there. The starboard side bulkhead, that was going to have a mahogany face on it, so I had to deal with that, and you'll see that in another episode. So yeah, I had it attached just at the top to the ceiling beams, and at the bottom at the main cockpit deck beam. I didn't connect it at the side to the window frame at this point because I knew I was going to be removing a big chunk of that, and yeah, so yeah, it was good for now. It came out nice. I was really happy at this point. First one done. That was a big major project started. I'm here at the boat, and it's June 11th, 2019. I gotta talk a little bit about the spring-summer schedule. Now, I've been putting a video out every week since I started this, and that's been fine. But lately I've been finding that there's kind of a tug-of-war going on between putting out videos and actually working on the boat. And putting out videos has been winning that tug-of-war because I've been enjoying doing it. But really, it's the season now that I really have to focus on the boat. With that in mind, I'm going to change my releases for videos and do one every 2 weeks, just for the foreseeable, summertime, spring here, summer, and probably the start of the fall. Once everything slows down a little bit more, then I'll get back into doing videos every week. So along with changing my schedule for the video release, I've also decided to give a little bit of a tour of what I'm actually working on this summer and spring. And I mean, you've seen me give my opening little video clip there in front of this main bulkhead, what I call the main bulkhead behind me here, and sometimes my closing little statements as well. But from there forward, I basically am done with the boat as far as structure and the outside and all that kind of thing. So I'm really focusing my attention right now on the last thing I have to really do. It's a major job, is the cockpit here, as far as the structure of the boat goes. So I'm going to give a little tour of what I'm up to. This is June 11th, 2019. So let's check it out. So there it is. That's the main bulkhead that I'm always in front of, and it's done. For the most part, need to put the door in and the hatch, and the fly bridge is pretty much done too. We haven't even gotten into that yet in the video series. That's going to be a whole season probably of working on that thing. But I'll kind of come down through here, and that's the main beam that I'm working on in this particular video that we're seeing today. It's all in and ready to go. And you can see all the cockpit has been removed. I've taken out all the framing in the cockpit. It's hard to see the whole thing in one shot, so I'll just pan around the starboard side. Fuel tank, engine, and this port side engine, fuel tank. no framing left. Started doing some of the framing, but I have to do a lot of engineering on it because I want to make it removable. I had to cut all this out, and it was kind of a pain if you ever need to do anything major, so I'm redesigning it. So I'm in the midst of that. I'm not going to get into the details because that'll be a video for in the future. I'm filming all that work. I got the cover boards. You can kind of see them there. They're done. And that's a whole nother thing too. So what I'm doing this year, my plans are to remove both fuel tanks, remove both engines. I'm going to go in the back here. Currently working on the transom. There was a muffler there that went through that hole, came out here, but for some reason, the factory didn't use any core material on this hole. It's all fiberglass, but they did add plywood here and there to reinforce it. And I don't know if it was just engineered that way or they just decided on the fly that, yeah, we need something for extra strength here. This boat was built when they were switching over from wood to fiberglass, and there was probably some things that they needed to do after it was already designed. So I don't know, but it seemed odd that they put a piece of 3/4 inch plywood all along here, and then they have it up above here, where in this area here, it's 3/4 inch. That's 3/4 inch. And then in this area that I've had kind of already sanded away, that was a piece of 1/2 inch plywood. And I think it was just to support the transom where the muffler was. But they didn't fiberglass at all. They brought the fiberglass down, a little bit, and you'll see it in, upcoming videos, later on when I show myself removing it and everything. But yeah, they left it bare, and of course it got wet and delaminated, so I have to replace it. So that's what I'm kind of working on right now. And I'm also trying to clean up some of the crazy fiberglassing that they left behind when they put in, they got all the hull done, and then they just added things in, and all the stuff that they added in with tabbing and stuff was not done very cleanly in a lot of places. It was just kind of put in there. So I'm trying to clean all that up too as I go along. Here's the steering that doesn't work. Well, the rods and everything here I think are fine, but the cable down here, as you can kind of see, I cut off because the cable steering was all rusted, so I couldn't really turn the rudders. But I have all new hydraulic steering I'm putting in, and that'll be another video or another day. Now I had to put these little temporary stairs here so I can get up in the boat from my doorway there from the outside, and did the same thing over here to get up into the cabin there. Then we'll go over on the port side here. I've already worked on I'm calling it a ledger board for the deck. The deck framing sits on top of that, kind of like these pieces over here. It's all comes along the side here. I added an extra piece. I only had one piece there. I added a second one. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at over here. Everything forward of this bulkhead, like I said, is done. The decks are painted. Just have to bed the hardware, put in the glass, and put in the hatches. And yeah, we'll be set to go with that. So that's kind of what I'm up to this summer. It's getting this finished. So these tanks, before I remove them, they are filled with old stale fuel. So I do have to arrange for someone to come and empty these out, process the fuel. So that's going to be a good dent to the wallet, I'm sure. They hold 70 gallons. I don't know how much fuel's in there, and it might be 50. That'd be 100 gallons of fuel processing. So I'm a little scared to find out how much that's going to cost. And then as far as the engines go, I don't know. I talked to the mechanic here, and he's thinking he's not really sure if their tractor can lift the engines out of here. So I might have to hire a crane for the day to come and pluck these things out, but he says it's not too bad for them to hire somebody to do that. They've done it before. So anyways, That's what has to happen before I can clear this area out to work on it. This gray plywood you're seeing, subflooring, I haven't removed that yet. So I'm not really sure what's under there. I'm sure there's a lot of grease and dirt. I did remove the piece down below the steps here. As you can see, it's a different piece of plywood. But I was fishing around back by the steering there on Sunday, and I did find a fillet knife and some sort of cover plate for something. I'm assuming it might be, there was a hot water heater here at one time. It was long gone when I got the boat, but it might be the cover plate for that. I'm not sure. It's down in a bucket over here. I gotta like clean it up and look at it. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. So who knows? But I guess we'll find out together, because I'll be filming when I remove that plywood at some point. So here I am once again, sitting on the starboard engine uncomfortably, getting poked in areas I'd rather not be poked in. But, you know, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and there's going to be plenty more to come, just at a bit of a slower pace. So until then, have a good one, and we'll see you soon right here on Renovation Sportfish.